All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to Let's Chat with Tanya Barnett show. I'm very super excited about my special guest tonight. I am telling you, we've had some amazing women on this MOMpreneur series. It just gets better and better with every interview. So tonight I have none other than Dr. Avis Jones-DeWeever. She is an author. She is a everything. That's I mean she has a laundry list of everything that she does. But let me tell you something. She is so down to earth, and that's what really drew me to Dr. Avis. I call her Dr. Avis. That's what drew me to her, is that she just has a heart of gold, and she's all about serving and empowering women just like you. So thank you, Dr. Avis, for being a part of this MOMpreneur series.
Absolutely. I'm honored to be a part of it. Thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. So we're going to get started. Tell us about the journey for Dr. Avis to become Dr. Avis. What was that journey like?
Well, to tell you the truth, I've always been someone who's been very interested in social justice and been very interested in making sure that Black people specifically, and Black women even more specifically, have wonderful opportunities and have been treated fairly. In fact, when I was a kid, people used to say that I was like a female version of Michael from Good Times. So I've always had that sort of personality. And so I spent, I kind of segued initially in my career towards policy and politics and sort of the think tank world, working on trying to advance policies that would improve the conditions of women and people of color, particularly improve their economic outcomes. And after, many years in that space, which I loved and which I still have sort of like a little bit of a toe in, I really realized that at the end of the day, as important as policy is in terms of making opportunities to allow people to advance their lives in a more fair and equitable way, that it really wasn't enough. There's a lot of the barriers that we face are beyond the reach of politics to fix. A lot of the barriers that we face are institutional in nature, and they are also related to individuals having access to insider information that's not freely shared with us.
Okay.
And I really began to believe that for us to really go to the next level, we needed to understand some of that insider information and how to properly navigate it in order to maximize our career success. And so that's why I started to sort of segue over into some more work, working with women directly through the Exceptional Leadership Institute for Women and through my book on how exceptional Black women lead. And basically what I did was I decided to pull together some women that I know and some women that I didn't know at the beginning who I knew had achieved some excellent and basically exceptional success, and figure out from them how were they able to successfully navigate race and gender in the workplace in order to be, really amazing path breakers in corporate America and nonprofit America, as elected officials, as groundbreaking entrepreneurs. How were they able to make that success? And from those lessons, I put together my book. And beyond that, I basically work with women to sort of implement strategies to help them to be able to break through to what they want to achieve, both in their professional realm as well as in their personal lives.
Wow, that is fantastic. So I'm going to go back just a little bit. So you said you were kind of known as the mini Michael Evans. Yes. When did you notice that consciousness awakening? Was there one particular incident where you were like, wait a minute, I'm Black and something's not right here and I want to change it? When can you pinpoint an instance where you were like, wow, something's different here?
It's, I think, a couple of watershed moments for me. Number one, my parents had me when they were older. My mom had me when she was 40. My parents are products of the Jim Crow South. And so I've always grown up knowing their stories. My father was as a child, his family were sharecroppers. So we're not that far away from that reality and that history. So I've been grounded in that as my foundation. That's one sort of just reality that's always been around me. Also, I had a very interesting experience when I was in kindergarten in that that was my first day of kindergarten was my first day of really being around, to be perfectly honest, a lot of white people. And so I noticed in my classroom that the white kids had different color eyes. You know, some had blue eyes, some had brown eyes, some had green eyes. And I noticed that all the black kids in the class had brown eyes like mine. So we lived with my grandmom who happened to have green eyes, and she happened to be very light skinned. So in my 5-year-old mind, I assumed that meant that she was white. And so I made the mistake of coming home and telling her that. She didn't speak to me for like 2 weeks. And
you done offended grandma.
I completely offended grandma. So, I mean, I guess I tell you that story to say that from the very beginning, I understood that whiteness was not equal to superiority. I had no belief. I've never had a belief in white superiority. I've always believed, never believed that. So I've never bought into that. And I think grandmom's visceral reaction to be mistaken as white really made that very clear to me that was nothing to aspire to or admire or put on a pedestal in any way, shape, or form. So I've always sort of had that grounding. And then probably the last sort of watershed moment that really pushed me in this direction was I think maybe I was in elementary school when a group of protesters were marching in North Carolina. They were civil rights protesters, and this is before the whole social media situation where we all have our cell phones. But at that time, there was media coverage of the march. And during the media coverage, literally some Klansmen came and shot a few of those people dead during the demonstration.
Wow.
And so that was showing on the news. And this happened in Greensboro. It's a kind of a famous attack by now, historically looking back on it. But I remember when that happened. And I remembered that just like what we see today with all the trials that we experience today, none of the people who committed that murder were found guilty of those murders.
Wow.
And so then when I saw that as a child, that really, I think, sort of really made me understand just sort of how deep the injustice goes in this country. And it's something that I think has motivated me to this day to attack it in several different ways.
Wow. That is heavy. When you were talking, I'm like, okay, we need you in all the middle schools, teaching all these children their history, because to them, it's so far removed. And even what's going on in the media right now, they have no connection to any of it. So I just think that is fantastic that you noticed that at such a young age. Thank you, ladies who are joining. Dominic, Taj, thank you so much. Audra, for joining. Make sure if you're just not joining, make sure you share this on Facebook. Dr. Avis is sharing some great nuggets with us tonight, so I'm very excited to have her as my guest. So how did you transition into the mompreneur role?
Yeah, so I think that starts really from my father. My father was really my inspiration in that space. As I mentioned, he started out as a sharecropper. His family were sharecroppers. And he was the oldest boy in his family of 8 children. Unfortunately, his father suddenly died when my father was 14. And so at that age, he had to take on the responsibility of being the bread earner for his family.
Wow.
Yes. And so understanding what life was like as a sharecropper, he often said that he made the decision right then and there that he'd never again work for a white man. And so he, from there, became a serial entrepreneur. By the time I came along, even before my parents got married, he had established and grew a very successful lumber company. Every week when he actually was able through his lumber company to employ all of his brothers and about a couple of dozen other people in the community. And every week when he would pay his employees, he would always also write a check for his mom, and he took care of her for the rest of her life. His business was very successful, and it allowed me the opportunity to, for example, go to college debt-free. And he did all of that with a 3rd grade education. And so it really showed to me from a very young age the power of entrepreneurship And so I always knew one day I wanted to do it.
Right.
The main thing that ultimately pushed me into that direction was that I experienced, quite frankly, a very toxic work environment. And I got to a point where it was get another job or expand my consulting that I was kind of doing on the side anyway. And I decided to eventually just jump both feet into the entrepreneurship space, and I just never looked back.
Wow. And how long have you been a full-time entrepreneur? There's my honey. Hi, hon. Thank you for joining me.
Sweet. 4 years now. 4 years now.
Awesome. Awesome. So I want to share some of your accolades with the ladies, if you're okay with that. The one thing I love about her is that she is the youngest, or was the youngest, executive director, tongue tied here, executive director of the National Council of Negro Women. And so that is the institution of Dr. Dorothy Height. So this is how phenomenal Dr. Avis is, that she followed in the footsteps of Dr. Dorothy Height. And we know how much of a phenomenal woman she was, and all the other women that were part of that. I think Mary McLeod Bethune, did she start that? She's a founder. That's right. That's right. So, I mean, we're talking, if you don't have your girlfriends on here, you need to get them on here now so that they can get their lives and their minds right. We have a sister that is straight up on consciousness, and everyone knows me. I wear stuff I purchase from my people. My lipstick I have on is a Black company. I always have something on my person by a Black business. And I also have Dr. Avis's book. So can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Absolutely. Thank you. That is my book. Thank you for lifting that up. That book, I tell you, that was a labor of love for me. I put together that book over about 2 years after conducting 70 different interviews with amazing women all across the country, some internationally, who really just had achieved amazing success. And I have to say, before I wrote that book, I read Lean In, which was very popular right before I started that book. And I tell you, there was a line in Lean In that, quite frankly, pissed me off, and which really was the base inspiration for that book.
Okay.
Thank you. So in Lean In, which was written by Sheryl Sandberg, the COO of Facebook, she was talking about her career, and she mentioned that she had received a job once where she had this new promotion, and she was the first woman to hold this position. And her first day on the job, a male colleague asked her if she was an affirmative action hire. And her reaction was, "Oh, no, I'm not an affirmative action hire." And that response pissed me off, and I will tell you why.
Okay.
Because, statistically speaking, white women are the top beneficiaries of affirmative action. And so she probably was an affirmative action hire. That's nothing to be ashamed of, because without affirmative action, you would have a boatload and continue to have a boatload of unqualified white men in a whole bunch of positions, and those opportunities wouldn't be opened up to the rest of us. But her knee-jerk reaction played into the stereotype that affirmative action is something that's mainly beneficial to Black people, and it has an assumption then that those Black people aren't qualified to be in those spaces. And so I knew a lot of sisters who were amazing at what they did. And I said, we need to both lift them up so other people can know about some of the incredible things that they're doing. But at the same time, we need to document how they got there, so that every generation isn't reinventing the wheel. So the whole idea behind that book is basically to provide a pathway, like breadcrumbs, I guess you could say, success for the next generation, so that we can ultimately have more Black women in leadership in every sphere of influence across the nation. And we can get there by advancing from where we are now, instead of each generation having to start over from scratch.
Wow. That is amazing. I never thought of it, because I'm going to be honest, only read about half of it. But I never saw it as like a breadcrumbs, or, something for women behind us to have, kind of like a guidebook, basically.
Absolutely.
Take these steps or what have you. So that is fantastic. I really I think that is. So ladies, make sure you get this. Is How Exceptional Black Women Lead, Unlocking the Secrets to Phenomenal Success in Career and in Life. So make sure you pick up Dr. Avis's book. It is just, yeah, she is the bomb. So with all you have going on, how do you handle or manage mommyhood, being a mom to your beautiful sons, and doing what you do?
Yeah. Well, I have to say that was another big inspiration for me taking the leap into entrepreneurship. Because I have to say, I live in the Washington, D.C. area. And for those of you who live in the Washington, D.C. area, you know how crazy traffic is. And I was really tired at the time of being in a space where I had to take my youngest son to before school, go through traffic. By the time I get home from work, he's in after school. And I felt like I only really had a couple of hours between homework and food and bedtime where I could really see him, And I also had an older son who would be going off to college in a few years. And I didn't want basically to sort of live that rat race type of life where I wouldn't really get to spend time with my children. And that was one of the main inspirations for me to begin my business. And I will say that really, I love that I have more control of my time, more control of my daily life, more control of my schedule. And that allows me to be able to not have to have that experience anymore. I was able to transition into a lifestyle where my son is here when I'm here when he goes to school, here when he gets back to school. They can travel with me. It just created, to me, a better way for me to be able to do what I want to do and what I love to do professionally, but also have more real quality time. I hate to use that term, but it's real with my children, rather than, especially for my youngest, who, was too young to be, at home by himself. Having him spend so many hours in daycare, basically before and after care every day, it was just, I would say enough with that.
Right. So talking about your quality time, what does quality time look like for you? Do you steal moments, or do you schedule time with your sons? Do you do it collectively, or you say, okay, I'm going to spend time with you this weekend? How do you manage that?
It is a gumbo. It's like all of these.
I love
gumbo. Me too. It is all of the above. So I'll give you an example of the last few days. So for example, on Saturday, my youngest son, I had a field trip with they had a band competition. So I was one of the parents on the band competition, spent the entire day with him at Busch Gardens and through the competition and everything. So that was Saturday. Sunday night, my oldest son had a reception for an internship that he's starting over the summer. So went to that reception with him. This Wednesday, my youngest son again has a band concert, which I'll be going there with my oldest son. And so it's a bunch of everything. Sometimes it's just individualized for that particular kid. But then sometimes it's just me chilling in their room with them while they're playing video games, and watching, knowing that I'm not going to play because they would kill me. But, in terms of they're much better at it than I am. But just even those quiet moments, I think, are special. So it's a mix of pre-planned things to activities, trips, whatever, to just spending time sort of doing nothing and just enjoying each other's company.
Right. Oh, and I like what you said. You said you go in their room while they're playing video games and you're just there. That is, I don't know if I could do that. But that I'm always telling my kids, come in my room, lay on the bed, let's watch Cosby Show or Different World. We do Martin, Gina, all that together in my room. But I never considered going in their room and engaging in what they're into. So that is a great tip. I'm gonna definitely do that, because my two remaining kids at home are 14 and 16, and so I think that's a great tip. Wow, that's really cool. That's really cool.
I get to see, and because part of what my youngest is more into video games than my oldest. He wants to actually be a video game designer when he grows up, and so he has a lot of. So he'll do Xbox Live, where he's playing with people all over the world. So by me being in there, I can kind of see in a sense, who he's playing with, and I can hear the change. And so it's a way for me to sort of supervise on the slide, but it doesn't come across, I guess, directly like that.
Right. I love that. So how does Dr. Avis find time for herself?
I'm working on that. I'm working on it. I have to be honest. It's harder right now because, unfortunately, I recently lost my father towards the end of 2016. Mm-hmm. And so I'm spending a lot more time with my mom, trying to fill her time up because, she's grieving and going through that. Mm-hmm. And so right now I'm in that space where I'm more sandwiched between my boys and my mom. So I'm experiencing that sort of sandwich generation pool right now. And so with that, part of it means for example, when I have my mom up here or I'm going down there to spend some time with her, a lot of it would mean maybe trying to schedule in time to do more relaxing things with her. So for example, I introduced her to her first massage. To pedicures and if I can. So it's hard. Every once in a while, I might be able to sneak off and do something like that by myself. But right now, I'm trying to also fill my mom's time to keep her occupied and keep her spirits up. So it's getting a little bit more difficult to do it these days, but I do it to the extent that I can.
Okay. Because we talk about self-care is so important for us moms. Because
it is. I know it is.
Mamas, we carry everything, whether we're a single mom or a married mom, basically the household runs off of us. And so I'm going to challenge you to do, make it work.
Right, girl. Hold me accountable.
Because we need you around. Especially with number 45 in the White House. We need you around.
I need some garlic, some holy water.
I know. I was so proud when I saw you sitting at the round table with President Obama. I was like, look at my sister. I'm just so, wow. Your accomplishments are like my accomplishments. So I'm just really thankful. I celebrate you so much. Just like all the other moms I've celebrated. So who is a person, dead or alive, a woman, that you just say, this woman has really motivated me to stay the course in what I'm doing?
Two women, one famous, one not.
Okay.
So the famous woman, it has to be Harriet Tubman. I'm like a huge Harriet Tubman geek. I discovered her when I was in, I would say maybe fourth grade. Mm-hmm. I read my first book about her and just have been completely enamored with her story ever since then. And I'm just obsessed with her bravery and her cunning. She was just brilliant and brave and bold and she was the original ride or die. In terms of
right.
You better don't even think about turning around because you ain't gonna get us all caught.
Right.
I just love everything about her in that respect. And I think the other would be my grandmom, the one that I completely offended a couple of weeks, because she was another one of these people that had an absolutely just incredibly bold spirit. She was someone who I don't think there was anything that she couldn't do. I just remember growing up, it just seemed like she would do quote unquote women's work plus men's work, and everything was really just well done. And I'll just give you this really short example. She was just kind of brave. So for example, I'm from a very rural area. And so the biggest excitement that we would have in the summertime was when, a snake would somehow wander onto our property. That was like the biggest oh my God, a snake! Oh my God, a snake!
Right.
This is how my dad would react to this versus how my grandmother would react to this. So if a snake is in the yard or out by the stable or something, my dad would go and grab his shotgun and stand as far as humanly possible away from the snake and then shoot in the general direction until he finally That's how my dad would deal with that situation. My grandmother, on the other hand, would go to the garage, get a garden hoe, and literally go there and chop that thing up into a million pieces. That's the type of like gangster sister that she was. And
right.
So, those two still, I think, are very inspiring for me to this day.
I love it. I love it. And especially watching, I can't remember her name, the actress who's playing Harriet Tubman on Underground.
Yes, Underground. Yes, she
Woo!
did an amazing job. I was so excited at the season finale for last season when they introduced, because I knew as soon as they showed her shadow and she had the shotgun, I was like, that's Harriet Tubman.
I know. And when that whole soliloquy that she did, it was almost the whole entire show. That was just.
That's incredible.
Woo!
It was amazing. I mean, hopefully she'll get an Emmy or something for that. That was an incredible performance.
But it just showed she really embodied the strength of Harriet Tubman, and just how we should endure in the times that we're in today. And we have so many more luxuries.
Yes.
And, things of that nature, and people just do not live to their fullest potential.
Yeah.
I even share with my own daughters. I'm like, do you know that she went back and got people and she was free? She didn't have to do that.
Didn't have to do it.
And she was determined that she was going to free folk. Like, you come.
She did that. She was a spy in the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
She also was the first woman in history and in American history to actually lead a regiment in battle. She literally led a colored regiment, a Black regiment, during the Civil War in battle, and they were able to take an armory under her command. I mean, she was a bad sister. And so this is why I completely love Harriet Tubman.
Wow, I did not know that part, and I thought I knew my history. So you have schooled me. Wow, I did not know that. That is amazing. That is amazing. So with all of your strength and all the great things you're doing, what is one obstacle that you've had to personally overcome, or that you frequently are like, okay, I got to get through this today? What is one obstacle?
The thing that I probably still struggle with, and I am very intentional about trying to figure out ways to do it better, is focus. I think I seriously believe I have, and I do, I was diagnosed with ADD. So I really have to be very intentional about focusing. And because I do a couple of different things, that makes it that much harder. And so one of my areas that I'm very interested in is learning about, and using various productivity tools and figuring out different techniques to help me be able to get more done in less time. I think that's one of the biggest things that I sort of struggle with, but I'm very intentional about trying to correct that challenge, because it makes a huge difference if you're able to really, concentrate and focus deeply for a compact amount of time. You can get so much more done than if you sort of like let things sort of dribble around in and out of your attention all throughout the day. So that's one of those things I think where you have to continually get better and practice and get better and better and better at it. And it's still something that I'm working with.
Awesome. And I appreciate you being transparent with us, because a lot of times it's easy to see, oh my gosh, she's on, News One Now with Roland Martin. Oh my gosh, she's doing this, she's doing that. And so people begin to think that we have this facade, or they put us on a pedestal like she's just amazing and there's no flaws, and they measure themselves to you or to me and try to compare themselves, not understanding that deep down we're working through some things too to accomplish our goals.
Absolutely.
And it looks like Dominic said, more done in less time. I can learn more on how to do that. So could you share some of your productivity tools for Dominic?
Absolutely. So a couple of things that I really love is I like this app called Freedom. And what Freedom does, you can download it on your computer, you can download it on your cell phone, you can download it on your laptop, your iPad. What it does is it blocks out your social media distractions for a period of time that you preset. So if you know that you need to work on something for 30 minutes, for an hour, for 90 minutes, you set the timer on that, and it won't allow you to check Facebook, check Twitter, check all the different things that you don't want, that are your temptations. Sort of you reset that. That's one thing. Another app that I like is called Focus at Will, and it's like the @ sign, Focus at Will. That one, basically, I really love it because it's specifically made for people who have ADD. It's similar in that it has a timer associated with it. But what it does is it plays music that's scientifically shown to help you to be able to focus. So it'll play music for a preset amount of time that you say, okay, I want to focus on this task for 45 minutes, say. You set it for 45 minutes, it'll play the music, and then at the end, it'll have a little chime, and you know that you finished, but the music literally helps your brain to focus. I think that's helpful. One last thing I would suggest is this book that I've recently read is called Deep Work. The name of the book is, and the name of the author escapes me. I always forget his name, but I know he's a Georgetown professor. Okay. The whole point of the book is it describes, all the fact that we are enamored with distractions in today's age, and we can't help it. I mean, that's just how our lives are right now. And it talks about really the value of deep work, and it gives you several different strategies. What they mean by deep work is being able to have blocks of time where you can train your brain to be more focused during that time, so that you can get much more done during those deep work sessions. Okay. And, so it gives you several techniques to be able to do that. And I think that might be a good read to help your listeners be able to understand how to get into the practice of deep work. And it literally takes practice to train your brain to do that, because we spent many years being distracted. So it's not something you can turn on and off quickly. You literally have to take time and increase the amount of time that you're able to focus over periods of time.
Wow. And I remember as a kid, I mean, that's what we did. We went to I know my mother sent us to our room for about an hour or two. You didn't have to take a nap, but you either had to read a book or write a story. And so you had that quiet time. And I know I'm guilty of my schedule being so jam-packed that I'm eating on the run, just constantly going, constantly phone. I'm glad I took all the notifications off my phone. I keep my phone, I keep it on vibrate so it does not ring anymore. And so I know I had to do those things to help me get a little bit more centered and focused. And also on Facebook, I have newsfeed eradicator, so I don't even see people's news feeds anymore. Oh, that's smart. Yeah. I've actually had several people become offended because they're like, you haven't commented on my post. I'm like, really? You're offended because I haven't commented on your post? Do you see how busy I am?
That's a good one. I'm going to have to use that one too. That's good.
Christine St. Bill told me about that one. It's called Newsfeed Eradicator. And when you pull up Facebook, you do not have a newsfeed. There's several quotes about time and managing your time, but it's all empty. Oh, yeah. So I've had that on there probably about 2 years now. Cool. On my computer. I still get it on my phone, so I have to put the phone. So I may have to put the Freedom app or the social media blocker on my phone to help me out. But those are great tips. Great tips. So what is one suggestion that you would give to, say, a mom who is an entrepreneur and she's finding herself to the point where she feels a little burnt out and doesn't know if she can continue on, but she wants that freedom to be able to work for herself?
Well, first of all, you have to know that you should not think that you have to do everything yourself. One of the things that I teach my clients is that you have to identify and recruit a support system. You cannot be expected to do it all yourself. Some of your support system may be family and friends. Some of your support system you will probably have to hire. And you have to be okay with that. And when I say hire, it could be literally people to help you with your business, but it could also be people to help you manage your household. I really think that you need to prioritize spending your time either with your family, loving on yourself, or working on your business. And then think about all those other things that have to be done, and think about that, who else can do that, So basically focus just on those things that only you can do. And then with those other things, see who you can recruit to help you do that instead. You don't have to do everything. That's when you get overwhelmed. Let go and focus on those things that only you can do in spending time with those people that you love.
That's good. That's good. So if that means you need to get someone to clean your house, ladies, I started doing that here recently. I get my house cleaned. At first it was twice a year. Now my husband's like, okay, you need to go quarterly now. So, and that's what I need to book for July. So, I'm definitely, that's something that we have decided to invest our money in, because then that takes just one more thing off of my plate that I have to do. So I think that's really important. And then, right, absolutely, and getting your kids involved too. I mean, little 2 and 3-year-olds can get clothes out the dryer. I say that all the time. Your little 3-year-old can go get some socks out the dryer,
and they think it's fun. Make it a game, right. Especially when they're that age.
Right,
they feel grown up. So
absolutely. So, Dr. Avis, can you leave us with a quote, a scripture, a song, something that you meditate on to keep you going?
I would say I'm going to think about a song that I used to sort of really loop my first year in business. And this might be helpful even for that person who just asked that question about being overwhelmed. I used to always play Survivor by Destiny's Child.
Okay.
And I found that to be very, very motivating. And so I think one of the suggestions that I think people should probably do is think about let me just put it like this. My whole life, I feel like, has a soundtrack. So like whatever I'm going through at the moment, I tend to be gravitated towards songs that reflect that. And really, with getting a business off the ground, it's such a challenging time, and there is so much to do that I think it's very important that you feed your brain and feed your subconscious mind with messages that lets you know that you can get through this and you can do it. And for me, that song was that for me at that particular point when I was first launching my business.
Wow. And that's a great song too. I love I'm Every Woman, the Shaka Khan version. No shade to Whitney, but I love the Shaka Khan version.
Yes. Yeah, Shaka is amazing.
Well, thank you so very much. Ladies, make sure you check out Dr. Avis's book. It is called How Exceptional Black Women Lead, Unlocking the Secrets to Phenomenal Success in Career and in Life. And I'm also going to put up some contact information because Dr. Avis has a program that she has coming up, and it's called Bridge to Boss. So can you tell us a little bit about Bridge to Boss?
Sure. So Bridge to Boss stands for Business Ownership Safely System, and it's really an in-depth group coaching program that goes over a 6-month period to really help you go from concept to clarity to consistent cash. It's my way of helping those women who know that they want to make that shift from being an employee to being a successful entrepreneur, a very in-depth step-by-step process that's not just about learning what to do, it's about implementation. So we go through a rhythm throughout the program of learn, do, so that you're actually making money as you're implementing and going through the system. So I'm super excited about it. It's a beta group opportunity, so it's limited opportunities, but I have the apply opportunity to just put up on the screen, and that allows people to fill in their information, have a quick chat with me, and we can figure out if it's right for you. And if so, I'd love to have you as part of the program.
Awesome. I think that is fantastic because I know I was scrambling, trying to figure it out, trying to start my nonprofit. I Googled everything because I just knew I wanted to do it, but I didn't know where to start. I didn't know about EINs and all that other stuff, and getting your certificate of good standing that a nonprofit has to have every year, and all those things, reporting every year, your income, and all those things that the state looks at for nonprofits. And so this is great information. So ladies, if you are interested in starting a brand new business, please reach out to Dr. Avis at Bridge to Boss, bit.ly/Bridge to Boss. Apply. It is case sensitive, so make sure the way it's written on the screen, that is how you type it in, that it is very case sensitive. So thank you again so much for being here with me. I am honored. It has been a pleasure, a joy. I just say keep us motivated with the struggle. I'm just you're a woman after my own heart. I love anything Black, anything about supporting us, collective economics and all that good stuff. So thank you again for taking the time out of your schedule to be here with us tonight.
Absolutely. And thank you for everything that you do. I am a big fan of yours, and
Aww.
I just know that your star is shining bright, but it's about to get like a million times brighter. So thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you. And we will chit chat. If you loved what you heard tonight, make sure you check me out on Let's Chat with Tanya Barnett on PraiseBaltimore.com. It's also on TuneIn. That's 106.1 on the FM dial. I will be there every other Sunday starting July 9th. I'm really excited about that at 2 p.m. And so I will have wonderful women like Dr. Avis. Hopefully she'll come back and you'll be able to actually call in and ask questions. So that'll be great, and she can get you going. And she also has her other institute is the Exceptional Leadership Institute for Women. We didn't talk about that. Did you want to talk about that briefly before we go?
Sure. Well, they can just jump onto avisjones.deweever.com or exceptionalleadershipinstitute.com. But basically what it is that's my portal where I work with individuals, as I mentioned, in terms of group coaching or individual coaching with their career. But I also work with organizations with diversity, equity, and inclusion work, because I believe it's two sides of that coin, especially for those of us who are trying to ascend to leadership. I can definitely help individuals with everything that I can and all the tools and tips and information that you can to move up. But also on the other side of the coin, a lot of institutions have problems and that need to be fixed. And so I work with corporations, major nonprofits, to help improve their ability to recruit, retain, and ascend diverse talent into leadership within those organizations.
Awesome. And Ron Jones said, very nice interview and feedback from Dr. Avis. So thank you, Ron. I appreciate that. So thank you again. Make sure you reach out to her. Her website is avisjones.deweever.com. You can find out more information. She was on News One Now this morning.
Yep.
Here at 7 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time. Did I say p.m.?
Yeah.
It's getting late. I'm sorry. And I said this morning, right?
You did.
7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. She brings it in. I'm telling you, the discussions that they have on there are just fantastic. It's news from our perspective. So make sure you Google News One Now. If you have not watched it, you really need to tune in and catch her. I know for me, when I'm running around in the morning, I have it in on my earpiece so I can listen from my phone. But definitely, support y'all. We have to support each other. Because it's all about uplifting each other, and then our community can move forward. And our children are watching us, so we have to support each other. So thank you again, Dr. Avis, and have a good night.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.